we're shifting gears quite a lot to managing your career as a researcher. So we're not talking about the research itself, but we're talking about your professional advancement in the field as someone who does all of that research. So the first piece we're going to talk about now, between now and the lunch break, I think, is on time management. So we're going to try to accomplish several things. The ones I want to talk about in particular are, first, the elephant in the room. None of us have enough time. There is too much work, too many different demands on us. We try to become efficient in using our time, just more demands come. So there's always this challenge of how do you find enough time to do all the work. We all have careers where, as Mike said at the beginning of the day, we wear many different hats. I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor to students, I'm an administrator, I have all these other responsibilities in the university, and now they want me to do research also. I would like to do research because I found an interesting question of my own, how to find that time. And then I'll talk a little bit about some techniques around managing which projects you are doing, managing a pipeline or a portfolio of projects. So we start with this question, and I think to ask it in this group is perhaps a little disrespectful. You are the busiest people I have ever met. You have so many responsibilities. Why is time management important? Because that's the most precious resource. You can always study and increase your knowledge. You can always practice and increase your skills. You can now go and write grant applications and increase your money. But there is nothing you can do to increase your time. A minute spent doing this will never be had again. So we pay attention to this. This is the scarcest, most precious resource in this life, is the time that we have and where we spend it. I don't know the situation here, but back in Canada, this is the common thing people will say about life as a professor, how you spend your time. 40% of the time teaching, 40% of the time doing research, 20% of time doing service. Supervising students, working on a university committee, all those sorts of things. 40, 40, 20. That's life as a professor. Yeah, sure. They did some surveys and they found, yeah, okay, 20% service, 23, okay, realistic. But teaching, to do all my teaching, preparing, delivering, looking after students, creating exams and grading and all that, no way 40%. It's typically around 60%. Something has to give. It's always research to get squeezed. Finding time for research is the hardest thing. Nevertheless, that's how professors actually spend their time. But what my department wants is full-time research. The university still wants its service done somehow, and teaching has to be done. But, okay, 20, that's like 200% there, 205%. There's a problem. The challenge of where to find enough time that research does not get squeezed out. For your career as an academic and the goal of the university to lift the academic research productivity of the university requires that we become better and more productive as researchers, but it's traditionally been the area that got squeezed for time the most. So we have to talk about how will we find more time? How can we become even more efficient about finding time for research? And one of the nice things, I love this statement here, this is not original to me, we are blessed in this career that it is the closest, before I was an academic, I spent 20 years in international corporate work. And in academia is the only place that is a true meritocracy. I don't care what you do, how you do it, where you do it, but you publish A-star papers, you're a good researcher. Corporate life, they won't let you do that. You better come to the office. You better have a meeting with the boss. But as a researcher, I don't have to answer to anybody. I will spend my time however I like, wherever I like, so long as I get the publications. If I reach the merit, how I get there is up to me. Now that's also scary because I am accountable for the results. I have complete freedom how I spend my time. So you have to find what works for you. Where and what works for you? I think in one of the earlier talks I mentioned, back when I was doing my PhD and having to read this 300 papers about this and 500 papers about that so I could load my mind with all the basic literature. I would do that while I was riding on the bus. Where you can find the time. From where and when you can find the time to do this. This is also me. I'll take half an hour in the shower in the morning, and I will stand there in the warm water and think. That's my most productive place. 25 minutes of thinking, and then, oh, getting late, better wash, go. That's my most productive. All my good ideas come to me in the shower. That's when this theory and this theory, they connect up. Interesting insight. Or I have done the statistics and I see the results and then I will go to the shower. This is what it means. I know how to write this paper. For me, you may be different, but I know me. If I need to do some serious, creative, insightful thinking, I head to the shower. And in this career, if I really want to produce quality, I will leave my office, leave the campus, and go shower. You think I'm kidding? I am not kidding. Because for me, that's my productivity. And in this career, we are free to do whatever it takes to deliver quality, do that. So what I'd like to know here, that I should have put up one of Mike's style slides, the green table, but I'd like to know, what tricks have you found out about yourselves? Where do you find time? I read papers on the bus, and I do my big thinking in the morning in the shower, because once I go to campus, people will want this from me, there's no time to think. What have you discovered as good techniques for finding time? Where and when can you do your research?
Actually, personally, I find myself thinking when I take a walk.
Go for a walk.
Yes, for short distances. I don't normally take a ride. I take a walk, and during the walk, I meditate and I think, and that's when I get to my ideas.
Does it matter where you walk? Like walk in the park or walk in the market is the same?
Actually, many times people complain because I pass by them, I don't see them. It's like, but I'm far away. I'm just far away.
Wilberforce, yes.
Since my second web college, my best thinking time is 3 a.m. in the night.
3 a.m.
I wake up. And when I wake up and sit on my table, I'm thinking that after I'll do more. When I'm doing my undergraduate or doing my postgraduate, I'm doing anything on at 3 a.m. in the morning. And I'm very sober. So I'm thinking it's 25 hours.
You find when is your good time for thinking? When is your good time for writing? When I left corporate life, I'd go to the office in the morning, work the day, go home for dinner, and then I would be just with my family. Academic time is more flexible. I come home in the middle of the day, in the afternoon. My wife is going, why are you here? I need a shower. It's like, this is good. It's good you changed your career. You left the business, you're not working in the bank. Now you could come and go, you never work. No, just as Wilberforce says, in this world, I work all the time. We're with our friends at a dinner party, some garden party. We're sitting out there under the nice trees, and I'm working, I'm thinking. What is your time? So let's hear some more, please.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
My best time is, for sure, 3. For me, 3 finds me on the table. 3, I just find myself awake and go on the table. But when I go on the table, I don't touch my phone. When I'm going to sleep, I leave my notebook, my diary open. So when I wake up like this, I go on my reading table. You will see flashing ideas coming, creative, even something I didn't think about. I've got all my best goals, my best ideas at that time. And if it's 3, the whole world is silent. I read a book called The Power of Silence. You can read it. Friends, it works. The mind will never think about great things when there is noise. The other one is shouting, the other one is in the music, the other one is this. Great things will always be good. Anyway, for me, that is for very well. Yes.
And I love this suggestion of whether at your writing desk or even just beside your bed is having a notepad.
Yes.
And you wake up and sometimes the universe gives you an answer. You wake up and it's in your mind. Write it out. Then you can go back and sleep fine, but you got it.
Well, thanks. I'm a person, and most of the times I play in times.
Literature, finding a research question, collecting the data, doing the analysis, writing the paper, getting it out, doing all the revisions, and getting it into some journal. That's one paper going through the pipeline. But while it's going through the pipeline, there can be other projects in the pipeline too. Every time I get a bright idea, wake up at, no, not for me, that's him at 3 a.m. Every time I step out of the shower with 2 new research project ideas, I keep a folder of them. I keep a notebook of them. So that every time a project comes out here, a new one goes in. Time to start that research project. Which means for me, at any point in time, I have 3 projects in the pipeline. You might want to have more or less, but never just one. I have 3. I try to always have 3 projects. One which is at the very beginning, just thinking about it, talking with people, drawing on the board, so boxes and arrows, reading some literature. One project which is in the middle of the pipeline, writing a survey, getting some students who can go to the mall and collect data for me, getting the data and cleaning it and outliers and all that stuff. One project which is near the end of the pipeline, writing it, editing it, trying to decide which target journal to send to, making all the format exactly perfect. So now there are 3 projects in the pipeline, and I wake up today. Today is my research day. I am not accepting any meetings today. I am not answering any emails today. It's my research day. What do I feel like doing? Am I in the mood for writing? I feel very creative? Then I work on project number 3. If I don't feel like writing, today I need to be out with people. Then I will work on project 2, go out and collect data. Today I'm feeling very artistic and creative. I'll work on project number 1. Whichever your mood is, you are free to work on that project. So, having many projects in the pipeline at the same time. One which is at conceptual thinking stage, one which is at analytical stage, data, numbers, all that stuff, and one which is at writing and submitting and journal and all that stage. The reason I have those 3 is for what I just said. Wherever I feel today motivated, I'll do that project. I never have to have this situation. Today is research day, that's the project, but the thing that needs to be done on this project, I don't want to do. Oh, it's writing and I don't feel like writing today. And then I have to make myself do something I don't like. If this, I just changed to the other project. Working on my research is always pleasant. I never work on anything unpleasant, and I never have procrastination, because one of the projects needs the exact thing I want to do anyway. So there's this pipeline, and I'm constantly pushing projects through. One day I'm working on project 1, one day I'm working on project 3. Eventually project 3 gets accepted at a journal. And I put a new one at the beginning. Everything continually moves along. How long it takes to go from the start to the end depends on your discipline. It depends on how you work. It depends on the norms. It depends on that particular project. Some projects move faster than others. But for me, it's generally like that. I spend about 3 months about weird ideas. Reading literature, trying to put two theories together, talking to other academics in related discipline to try to come up with a good idea. 3 months of reading the relevant literature, trying to find and get a high-quality research question. Designing the project, going out and collecting the data, analyzing the data, writing up the paper. For me, on average, it takes me about 1.5 years for one project to go through the pipeline. Yours will be different. If yours go faster, maybe you have fewer projects in the pipeline. If yours goes slow, maybe you can have a pipeline with 5 projects in it, because they're just slowly moving along. The other thing I would like to talk about today is, besides doing a research project, you should do multiple research projects. Some people, this was me when I first became an academic, I would do one research project on entrepreneurs and finance. Where do they get money from? And then I would do one project on the psychology of entrepreneurs, how they think. And then I would do one project on entrepreneurs and their economic impact on GDP of different countries. And then I would do one project on national institutions and culture and how that shapes entrepreneurs. And they were all, I thought, interesting projects, but they had nothing to do with each other. There's nothing in common with those different projects. And so I did lots of publications, but they don't amount to much because each one is just like a lone child. Versus you start thinking like a program, that I'm going to do several projects, all in the same territory, all solving the same related questions. There's an advantage to doing that. In my old way, I would do 5 projects, I would have 5 publications, each one people go, yeah, okay, it's a nice project, okay, good. But if they are all in the same area, you get the benefit of, now I did 5 projects all around the finance of entrepreneurs. You get a critical mass, you have a bigger impact, it does more for your reputation. You also understand the phenomenon better because I've looked at the same question from 5 different ways. So the idea of a program of research is that you have things that lead to this larger contribution, that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, that there are synergies between these projects. Because you did this project and you also did this project, you learn this thing, you have this result, this contribution, and this one, and a third contribution only known because of the 2 go together. So think about that. All the different types of projects we've had, this is all from previous days, we've seen these things before. Imagine if you did all of these things on the same topic area. It has much greater impact. To make yourself known as a key researcher in that area, you can stake out the area and do all of your projects around related research questions. Or not. It's up to you. The reason when I started that I did things that were unrelated, I did this, and I did this, and then I did this, because it was fun. This one was interesting. Now this one is interesting. You already know I chase butterflies. Oh look, I'll do this project. It was a missed opportunity for this synergy. But it was very enjoyable. I had a good, interesting research time, but my career did not advance. Which matters? Do you want to get promoted, make some more money, or you want to do research that's fun? And I can see Mike already going, why can't you have both? And he's absolutely right. You could have both. So think in terms of a programmatic approach to your research projects. You still get to pick the individual projects that are interesting. You get to pick the common area in one that's interesting and fun. And you have the synergy of doing ones that support each other. And all of this comes to time management. The first question in this module was, how do you get more time? You get it by these techniques that we have. To use, you don't get more time, you have 24 hours in a day only. How you spend your time. Try to spend your time efficiently by keeping a notebook by the bed, by taking many showers, whatever it is that works for you, having a sleep in the day, whatever works for you. But also, what do you try to achieve with that time? So now I'm going to tease Mike one more time. You can try to say, I'm going to do work of high quality. And this program has had many things, I hope, insights on what research quality means. The size of the contribution, getting funding, earning the respect of my peers, earning respect from my institution. The administration likes me because I'm helping the university's reputation. I get invited out to editorial boards. I get invited to be keynote speaker at a conference because of my reputation. International invitation. People are inviting me to go to England and spend a semester at their university at their expense, to teach some stuff and share my research. All kinds of things, good things come from doing quality research. But we also want to do quantity research. I need to publish at least 3 papers for my PhD. I need to publish at least 1 paper every year. But your university may have standards like that. My university has this 5-year probation period, and during that 5 years, at the end of it, you must have published at least 5 papers in at least a B level or better. So I better get those 5 papers done. I will not try to do an A-level paper because that's so much work. Maybe I'll only have 1 A-level paper and 2 Bs. That's not 5, out. So you have to think about that too. Do you want to do quality work, or do you want to do a large quantity of medium work? And now Mike is saying, why don't you do quality and quantity? And he's absolutely right. If you're going to do the research anyway, it takes me 18 months to do 1 project. It should be a good project. I should spend the time picking a good question, being up to date on the literature, finding an interesting gap with a proper methodology, with the good data. Anyway. So that depends on you. In this life, as academics, we have an extraordinary amount of freedom that most people don't. We have the freedom to work on whatever we want. Just teach your classes, make sure the students are learning. Other than that, spend your time as you think. Research what you want. Fantastic freedom. Fantastic responsibility. And he's like Spider-Man. And with great power comes great responsibility. I have great power over my time. Nobody can tell me my time, except your class meets Thursday at 3 o'clock. After that, nobody can tell me where to spend my time. I am accountable to me where I spend my time. So you should know what your situation is, what matters at your university, what matters for tenure, what matters for getting promoted, what matters for moving up the ranks, what counts. Yes, in theory, I can spend my time on anything I want, but if I spend it on the things that my university doesn't care, they won't reward me. But I can still do it. I can research what I want, and if that questions that I like can only be published in C-level journal, fine. Still going out in the world. Maybe I will take all these things from the previous module, and I won't worry about even publishing it. I will put it on my Twitter feed. I have a YouTube channel with 3.7 million followers. That's dissemination. Not at my university, it's not. Nobody's going to get promoted because of that. But it sure has an effect on the world. You get to choose that. But when you choose, you have to accept the consequence of your choice. So think about that, what matters at your university, and there's no deans here, right? What matters for your career outside of this university? Maybe if you have a good enough research profile and a good track record, it makes you attractive to other universities. You want to go to a better university. Maybe they still don't promote you, but maybe they double your salary. Or they're in a place that you would like to go and live for some time. Or those kinds of decisions depend on what is your research output. How many A-level papers do you have? So spend your time as you wish. It would be nice to do both. Okay, do both, but which one are you doing more? There always has to be a priority. Where are you putting your time? So if you're going to do time management well. Don't waste time. Use your time efficiently, which means knowing yourself. When is my productivity? What time of the day? For her, she has to do that one shopping thing first. If that left undone, the mind is distracted. No point sitting down to do research. The mind is still over there. I totally respect this approach. Go do that thing, and now you can bring the mind back. Somebody else said, no problem. I don't have that problem. But middle of the after lunch, I want to sleep. Nice lunches like we're having here, especially with all this rice, I want to sleep. I could sit down and make myself write my paper, but it will go slowly, and my writing will be bad. Or I could go sleep for 20 minutes and come back. Know yourself. You will be different than anyone else, but we have the freedom to do whatever works. This meritocracy of being an academic. Do whatever so long as you get results. So think about where you're going to spend your time. We've talked about how much time, how to use your time efficiently, what time of day, what kind of location, go for a walk in nature, all of those things. How much do you want to spread it around? If you're having a program, you could be somebody who's very broad or somebody who's very narrow. Mike previously talked about this as being an inch deep and a mile wide. I do lots of different kinds of research, none of them very much depth. I do a little of this, a little of this, a little of this. Or it could be the opposite, very narrow. All of my research is only on this question. But I have done that question in so many different ways. I am the world's top expert on that question. Or anywhere in between. You could be broad or narrow as you like. Do you want to know nothing about absolutely everything? Or do you want to know absolutely everything about nothing at all? Which type of academic would you like to be? You have the freedom to choose. No one can make you do different. It's your choice. Where you spend your time. Like here's 3 different professors. You could be this professor. One paper cited 1,129 times. On that subject, everybody in the world knows. This is the expert. You want to do anything in this area, you should talk to them. You should try to partner with them. At least you should cite their papers. If you send it to a journal and you're doing research in this area and you didn't cite this person, they will reject you because obviously you haven't done enough reading. One thing, tiny niche with a huge impact. And if you want to become that kind of professor, the 2 quick ways of doing that, either a survey paper or a method paper. For instance, you could create a new scale. You want to measure that? This is the way you measure. I know because I've studied this one thing, how to measure that construct. I've spent 20 years on measuring that and defining that construct. Now I figured it out. How to measure entrepreneurial intent is mine. If you want to measure, does he want to become an entrepreneur? How much does he want to become an entrepreneur? How to measure that? You don't ask him, do you want to become an entrepreneur? Yes, no. Bad survey. I would like to become an entrepreneur. Strongly agree, strongly disagree. 1 to 5. Likert question. Bad question. But on the outside of that narrow niche, no impact at all. These papers don't get cited at all. So you might decide to be that, narrow and deep. You might decide to be a little less extreme, well-balanced, a few different topics that I publish in, a few different topics that I'm respected for, as knowledgeable about, several different things. I do some building some theory, and then I test it, and then I extend it a bit more in a different way, and then I test that, and you can have a career doing that. That's very common. You can go to the other extreme. You could be this guy. That was me in the early days. Oh, butterfly. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. I have all these different papers. None got cited more than 10 times. That has career implications. I enjoyed myself, but my career did not advance. That's okay. You're in charge. You get to make this choice. What would you like to do? So where to spend your time is to be managed by you. So my fastest module ever. This is what I wanted to get across. You should have, oh, question, okay, turn it back. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I have just a comment about the
Previous slide.
I think as you are presenting, what I can say about that is that most of the times the motivation behind publishing matters a lot. Because most of the time we find that we publish because it is a requirement for promotion. But then, when I take most of the time, like in my institution, it is all about the number of publications, not of the quality, not of the impact, rather the number of citations,
So quantity, not quality.
Yeah, quantity, not quality.
Especially if they're measuring the impact by H index, and it says you got a citation, it doesn't matter who cited.
Exactly. Actually,
Citation is a citation.
Actually, they even don't mind about whether cited or not. It's all about how many have you published.
This is a good example of understanding your university, because in my university, it definitely matters whether you got cited or not. If you're writing papers and they don't get cited, they don't care, they don't count those ones. That might be, but if it's different, good, you should know this.
That is wonderful, and that's why I would say that when we are choosing where to publish from, we just minimize publishing from anywhere.
So, thank you. It's a wonderful comment because it brings up a couple of other issues. And the first one is, and why do we do this at all? Like, that's not in this workshop. This workshop assumes that we all want to do research. We all think that it's important to do. So, yes, I would like to do research and I would like my university to come for it because then it will help my career, maybe my salary will go up. But that's not why I do the research. And so where your motivation comes from is the whole topic, I think, which is outside of this. Sorry, there was one here first, unless it's directly related.
Yes, it is.
Yours is also related? Okay, he was first.
The issue of citations, they come into play, especially at the point when you're competing. You may not know, but once you submit, the panel will have to go into your citations. So it's done before the process.
Yes, and that's, I'm not sure where in the workshop we would put that, but this is this wonderful, abstract, noble, finding knowledge in the world. We are in competition. I'm in competition with every other academic in my field. I'm in competition with the other people at the university for budgets. I'm in competition for grants. All those things. There's a competitive element here. That's this one.
In my university, we have the promotion to papers that to be vetted by external vetters. And the external vetters, some people have had issues because the external vetters come from maybe Canada and they'll be using like what you think should be the criteria, and then they don't recommend promotions, even when people have all the things that the university may think are okay. So by the time they say no to the reviewers, you'll have at least both the papers and whatever. And so that those criteria matches, and they don't. In some cases, it will still catch you at a certain level.
Yes, thank you. And you touch on, you're adjacent to a very sensitive topic, which is this sort of Western model of academic research, especially outside of the hard sciences. There's sort of a colonial implication of that. You have to do it this way because that's the way they do it in Europe. Or you have to do it this way, at least because you can do it however you like, but then your external reviewer for your promotion is somebody from the United States and say, that's not the way we do research, okay? Which is the example you're giving, right? On the other hand, these pure scientists will say, the scientific method is the scientific method and should not be shaped by culture. That's a very contentious statement, but I don't know the answer to that. I'm not equipped to deal with that, but it's absolutely a phenomenon. If you choose, which you can, we can all choose, if you choose to do things like, I will do the research this way, I think it's culturally appropriate in my world to do it this way. Our definitions, our ontology and epistemology of how we know things and our ways of knowing is different than that model, that sort of American European model. Fine, let them do it their way, I'm going to do this way. And maybe you don't get promotion. Maybe I don't need promotion though, because I didn't go into this career for the money. I went in here because I would like to find out about the truth of the world. And I would like to contribute to the humanities knowledge. No one can make these decisions for you. Mike, you want to add anything? You look like you have a thought on your mind. Okay? Keep his mouth shut there. Okay. Yes.
All of us. I mean, even when we want to say my institution, this is what they like, I mean, life shouldn't be about one institution. You have to look at how to grow your career as well. I always tell my staff, be ready to take over deanership because I'm looking at becoming a vice